shivering. At this point, they've probably either shivered so hard that they've wore themselves out, they're no longer shivering, and you have to do some active rewarming. Active rewarming can be done first externally by getting them away from the elements, the wet and the cold, or wrapping them up like a baked potato. Secondly, we can do it by getting them food and water. One of the biggest reasons people stop shivering is because they're so worn out, they have nothing left to burn and their muscles just can't shiver anymore. So you've burned up all your food stores already.
And you lose a very large portion of your heat through your head. Okay, so it's always important to cover your head.
It's kind of like you normally sleep anyway. If you're out without a tent, you're going to try to get a waterproof layer on the inside, an insulated layer on the waterproof layer on the outside, an insulated layer on the inside. And just like if you were dressing yourself in the middle of winter, you're dressing in many different layers. You even use a vapor layer if they have polypros on. Get them in there in their polypros. Don't put them in there with a bunch of wet clothes. If they're soaking wet, don't put them in there. That's going to cause even further damage. All right. Now we're going to get...
Now if they have wet clothes, depending on what their environment is, that might be what's causing them to be hypothermic as well. So get them out of their wet clothes. If you can get them onto some dry clothes, that'll go tenfold. You don't want to take his boots off.
Okay, let me ask you this now. They're soaking wet. They have no dry clothes. They're better off naked?
Yes.
Yeah, but get this ready first. So that insulation, get this ready, have them sit close to you so you can continue to monitor them, get this set up as fast as you can. You're going to get this set up a lot quicker than you get a fire, so I wouldn't say go out there and say, oh, I got to get a fire, and go over there and spend a lot of time getting that fire going. If you can start using the rest of their heat and any of the heat that you can gather from the materials in your pack, that's going to be the quickest way you can do it. You don't slow rewarm people, you want to rapidly rewarm them. So we're going to get him inside this bag. We're going to get this bag sealed up as much as we can, get away some of the void space. You don't want to wrap somebody up really, really tight, because what keeps you warm is actually your body warming that air layer around your body. That's why you don't have boots in the winter that are super tight. You don't wear the tightest clothes in the winter. You want to have a little bit of extra space in there. All right, bud, slip on in there. Now, if his coat wasn't wet and he was just cold out there, he'd leave his coat on. Anything we could leave on him, we leave on him. Talking to him the whole time, making sure we're not going to add any psychological problems in by zipping him all the way up. We're talking to our patient the whole time. In hypothermia, you want to keep him as alert as you can. You want to zip him up. Get something on his head.
Cozy here.
If you're both carrying, if you have 2 packs out here and you're both carrying a sleeping bag, you're going to do 2 layers of this. You're going to actually wrap him. You would set this up. This would be our first layer. We would come back in with another layer of this and another sleeping bag, and we'd wrap them in there as much as we can. Because as soon as we get them warm, we can get our equipment back from them.
I want to be here.
Keep your space out, make sure it's heavy. Hand me that trash bag.
Gonna go up over it and check it.
I'm not worrying about making him sweat, because if he was sweating, we wouldn't be having a problem right now. As minute as he starts going, hey, I'm sweating, then we can start bringing him back out of this. But until that point, we're going to leave all this on him. As high as I can. Even if you took his extra clothes at this point in his pack that was dry that he didn't have to use, you start shoving that in. You could even look at leaves or moss or anything to fill this outer layer, because even if it was kind of moist, it's not going to get through this this waterproof barrier out here. So you can actually come in and fill this one up. Fill this up as much as you want with anything, because this will keep him dry, and that's just more insulated layer. Make sure you keep his face out so you can talk to him and see him. That goes a long way psychologically for your person, because he already realizes he's in some trouble.
And then he needs oxygen.
So you want, then he's going to need oxygen. You don't want him to hyperventilate or just pass out on you. At this point, you want to start thinking, all right, well, I have some power bars. We got to, we'll set him up a little bit so he can eat. Start warming from the inside. Start giving him some energy.
About warm fluids.
What's that?
What about warm fluids?
Warm fluids, absolutely. If you can get him warm on the inside, he's going to warm pretty quickly on the outside. So warm fluids, you know, I'd get that power bar. If he can still operate his hands and stuff, set him up a little bit, eat this power bar, and we'll go over here.
Okay, so the next question I got for you is a lot of doctrine teaches out there that, you know, worst case scenario, you climb in the bag with your partner to warm him up. What's your feeling on that?
The way that I've been taught and the stuff that I've done in the field, I never recommend that you take your clothes off and try to get into the bag with the person. First, the amount of body heat that you can give that person is minimal. The second thing is now I've compromised myself. I can't now get more food for my buddy or my patient. I can't now keep my fire going. Now I have to try to regulate my temperature. I get in there and his core body is, say, 95 degrees, 94, 92 degrees, and I get in there. What's going to happen more often is I'm going to turn to his temperature and he's not going to turn to my temperature. So now we have two people that are hypothermic, and who is now going to protect us? Who is actually going to go out there and get those foods we need to sustain? Who's going to give us the water so we can start to actually turn that hypothermia around instead of just sustaining it?
So we could take this guy in this configuration, maybe even do the configuration in a spot where we've already got a lean-to type shelter set up with another space blanket, build a fire out here on the ground beside him, and that radiant heat's going to warm him up even that much more.
Absolutely. If you had that, I would say it wouldn't be too, depending upon what level he was at in hypothermia, it won't be too long till he goes, hey, I'm starting to sweat. And that's great news. That's the thing. Next thing we do, we take this bag off. How you feeling now? Let's just wait on that. It's making sure you're there. If you look in there and he's starting to shiver and he wasn't shivering before, that's good news. If he had stopped shivering and he all of a sudden starts shivering again, that's good news. It means that his body's warming back up. It means that we've given him food and his body now has energy to start trying to rewarm itself. And then slowly start peeling him out. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead and start out by using your equipment as well. The sleeping bag, double this thing up, because he's going to get warm, and then you'll get your sleeping bag back. But you know, it's better than having to drag him out.
You look like a big taco. How you feel, buddy? You pretty warm in there?
Yeah.
Das human burrito.
Okay.
He's like, this is pretty good.